Hey, what up? It's Hoodie Allen. Just did an interview with the Zach Sang Show. He's a beautiful man. Check it out. We talked about my new album and hip hop and Dan asking great questions. You already know you can expect this stuff from a Zach Sang Show interview, so just watch it.
Let's do this. Zach Sang Show.
Hello, beautiful human. We are hanging out with Hoodie Allen, who officially made me the person I know I was meant to be.
Which is?
A fanny pack guy.
Yep.
Hoodie Allen, thank you so much.
Of course, man. Hey!
Whatever.
Happy to be here.
You got a brand new album out. We got a lot to dive into.
It's out, right? Because we're living in the future tense of the present.
We are going to be living in the future
It's Friday.
tense.
I love it. Amazing.
It is Friday.
It's Friday right now.
Yeah, it's Friday.
Oh my God.
It is release day. Put your head in that mindset.
Okay, I'm here.
Your album is out. How long have you been working on it?
Too long, I think.
Really?
Yeah. This was definitely one of those ones where you go and make something and you're like, oh, I made the album, and then you're like, but did I? And then you delete a whole bunch of songs, and then you go and figure it out for real. So I think it took me a little bit longer than I would have usually done for a whole album process.
Was it always titled Whatever USA?
No, that was the thing. It didn't have a concept or a real view at that whole first section of time. So kind of finding that theme was what accelerated it afterwards.
What record did you create that made that theme apparent to you?
Wow, great question. I think I get the title track, really. That kind of concept came to me, and then I was like, oh, actually, I've figured out the world that I want to do here. But it was coming from making the song Whatever USA, which is the first track on it.
So what is this world that you were looking to create? Because based off the title track, it sounds like a collection of many different worlds. But what is it like? What was your goal?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway from Whatever USA in terms of a idea for me was kind of reflecting on where I came from, which is kind of a small town in New York.
Plainview.
Yeah. Well, Obeth-Page technically, but same cool. thing. They get mixed up. But
you got very passionate about that.
You know, they fight each other. It's like a lot of inside rivalry. But yeah, Long Island, essentially, Long Island. And it was kind of that feeling. I knew I wanted to make something that was summertime, and I just remembered all these summers that I had where you feel like you have all this freedom to do anything in the entire world, and you have all those summer love, all these great feelings, but then you also look and you're kind of trapped in this very small bubble. So it's that juxtaposition between being nowhere and everywhere at the same time. And I think I've learned and met a lot of people like that from going on tour and going to places like Omaha. Shout out to Omaha. And just realizing, oh, wow, there's so many of this small town 3 hours away from the airport. What are we doing? Showing up to the show. And it was that was kind of the original inspiration for it.
So it's the understanding that there's a ton of different communities out there. Your bubble expands. It's all of America. It's kind of seeing how music connects everybody. Yeah,
totally. I think those are the sort of fans also that I love the most, where the ones who are so not jaded about anything, because a concert's a huge deal. I live in New York City now. You guys are in LA, and sometimes it's hard to capture that feeling, because it's oh, you want to go to this tonight? Yeah. All right, sure, whatever. But when you go to freaking
dude, anywhere, Columbia, Missouri, Kansas City,
when you go to
Birmingham.
Columbia, Missouri, it's yes.
Yeah.
This is our night.
And everybody goes because it's the biggest deal, because
100%.
It's what everybody's been looking forward to. It's not taken for granted. Here it is, because it is. It's so woven in. I'm just thinking back to this weekend. I ditched 2 concerts. Such a piece of shit.
What a flake.
Who'd you ditch?
Yeah, who did you ditch?
I am
Shout him out.
not doing that.
Let's think. Who was here?
I know one of them.
In LA.
We got a lot to cover here.
Okay, that's fine.
We got a lot.
We'll talk trash afterwards.
Yeah, later.
Don't give anyone else shine. This is my interview.
Come on.
How dare we name drop any other mother? This is not happening.
This 40 minutes to an hour belongs to you.
Okay, I'll be here as long as you want me.
Your most successful project, would you say it was the EP that you put out in 2012?
I would say that's the thing that allowed me to move out of my parents' house, and it was the first time I ever charted on iTunes, #1, by the way.
All American.
All American. So yeah, I to me that is kind of like a seminal moment for me.
Is it
Yeah.
a coincidence that this EP and that project both shout out America?
No, it's very intentional. I think I came into this project with that in mind, in format. Like I wanted to make it a sort of similar length. I wanted it to be sort of coming from a similar mindset, and yeah, there's definitely reason. It's kind of like not the apocalyptic version of All American, but just like a grown up. I'm obviously not the same person I was at like 22 when I made it. So, but you know, I think there's a lot of same qualities about me that exist. Like if you're a fan of All American, my hope is that you be a fan of this project as well.
What was the hardest part about making this album? Why did it take so long? Was it the fact that you were kind of trying to achieve this extension of your first major EP?
I think the biggest thing was, at first I wasn't like I found myself making songs that I never do, which is like almost like riding a trend. Like, oh, we should make something that sounds like this. And I never have ever done that. So it took me a minute to kind of find the honesty in it. And like, I think if you listen to this record, a lot of it feels like a breakup record.
I was gonna ask about that.
Which I still am with my girlfriend currently, but there's definitely been like tumultuous experiences over the course of like, let's say the last couple months that inspired a lot of the records. And I think that did create a lot of the themes that are in place in here, and also made it really like honest and real, because I was writing from like things that I was going through.
Well, you have songs like "You Should Let Me Know," "Giving Up on Us," "Come Around." I don't know why it felt like you went through a breakup this entire time.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, in a lot of ways, I did, and was writing from going through that and like living it. It was like like. That's the right word, right? Cathartic?
Maybe, but we can use it.
We could Google that and see if it's real. Yeah, I wanted to write very in that moment and very in that now of how I was feeling. And
But what were you breaking up with? Or what were you...
it was like
what was in the moment? Yeah,
like my actual...
But you guys are together now.
Yeah.
When did you actually break up?
Oh, man. I haven't marked it on my calendar. It was too painful to write it down. But no, it's been like an on and off sort of thing, and a distance thing, and all those things for the, let's say, early part of this year to middle part of this year. Yeah.
Okay. So you're writing these records while it's happening?
Totally, yeah. Which I don't think that's really, I've had the opportunity to do that many times. I feel like a lot of times you're writing and you're reflecting back.
Yeah.
And this was definitely one of those situations where I was like, oh, I need to write now. Like this will make me be able to process what I'm feeling and going through it. And yeah.
You said you scrapped an album or scrapped a ton of songs before you got here today. How'd you know that those songs had to go? What didn't feel right?
I don't know. Right. I feel like as artists, you always make so much stuff. And if you ever preview it for anyone on Instagram, they'll tell you that those 8 seconds were the best that they've ever heard in their life. So that's misleading. But for me, I found myself not wanting to listen to them. And like, that's the biggest barometer. Like, if I don't want to listen to it before it's even come out, and I'm not like excited to like replay it because I just left the studio and I want to hear it, then how can I ever go forward sharing it with people and promoting it? Like, if I don't fully love it, if there's anything wrong. So that's really been my barometer test.
Is that something that you learn over time? Because this has been a journey for you for quite some time.
Yeah, I think you learn that over time. And also, it's the difference between, I think, a lot of music nowadays, which is a good thing. Kids will make it, and it's like, all right, drop that immediately. Yeah. But I think like some things can sound amazing in the moment, and you might fall out of love with them a little bit over time. So I've been maybe a little bit more deliberate to sit with things and say, like, is this something that you're gonna not enjoy just now, but enjoy like 3 years from now, and feel like you're creating a body of work that like people might revisit very fondly and not just forget about.
I get that, because that's the goal, right? You want somebody to be able to listen to your stuff forever.
Yeah, and like with that All American project, like people still bump the crap out of it. So I feel like creating something like that is how you like sustain a long time fan base versus try to maybe follow the trend of like what you think might pop off on Spotify right now.
Hey, beautiful human, real quick, if you're considering going back to school, you should ask yourself the following questions. Do you need the flexibility to take classes on your schedule? Do you have college credits that you need transferred? Do you want to earn a quality degree from a world-renowned university? If you answered yes to any of these questions, Arizona State University could be the perfect school for you. Arizona State University offers 200 highly ranked degree programs, 100% online. You're going to earn the same degree as you would on campus from wherever you are on your schedule. Plus, ASU Online accepts most transfer credits. If you want more information, text my name, Zach, to 35517. That is Zach to 35517. So you can learn for yourself why the Wall Street Journal ranks ASU 5th in the nation for producing the best qualified graduates, and why 87% of ASU grads are recruited within 90 days of graduation. That's a big number. 87% of the graduates, they get a job in 90 days. Learn to grow, learn to succeed, and learn to thrive at Arizona State University. To learn more about ASU online degrees, text Zach to 35517. That is ZACH to 35517. Knowledge is power. How do you believe that frat rap, which is the term that Ricky and I were using, she brought it up about like,
Oh my gosh!
go on. Are you offended by that? Number one?
No, I'm not offended by anything, but I have opinions on like it as a moment in time, I think.
Well, I want to know how you think it's connected to SoundCloud rap, right?
Ooh.
Or mumble rap.
The similarity is that they both were like sweeping moments where there's a lot of good stuff that came from it, and also a lot of probably less than good stuff that got maybe more attention than it normally would have if it wasn't trendy or a wave of stuff.
I get that.
Yeah. Like I didn't grow up, like I grew up listening to like super underground, like backpacky internet sort of hip hop stuff, you know? So like my inspiration, like I don't view myself as like a super fratty person, but at the same time I also grew up loving like Blink-182 and a lot of pop punk, so I think there's the mix of that, you know?
I hear that in everything that you do.
Yeah.
I hear that pop punk, very East Coast vibe.
I mean, Long Island, so
Taking Back Sunday.
Taking Back Sunday, MV on the Coast.
There you go.
Bayside, a lot of bands, yeah.
But are you at the end of the day, do you not like that title of frat rap? Because people will look back and title that era something.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a few people under that umbrella.
Well, it's like Asher Roth, Chitty Bang.
Yeah.
Totally.
Sammy Adams.
For sure.
Mike Posner? No.
A little bit.
I think
Drug Dealer Girl is my
that, oh my God, the Mike Posner eras of mixtape, like when I was in college, he was absolutely crushing it. I just remember looking at everything he was doing and being like, how is he, like, he's so smart.
Genius.
Like, he crushed it. It was amazing.
If you've never heard the song Drug Dealer Girl,
yeah,
listen to it.
Or the original Cooler Than Me that had Big Sean on it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But you have to be like our age to know exactly what you're talking about here. Yeah.
Dive on in.
Yeah. I would say just like any sort of like subgenre, if you actually listen closely to the people, I feel like every artist is going to sort of have their own unique sound and perspective, but it's super easy to like classify people by like looks. Like in the same way that like if anyone had like a face tattoo right now, you might assume like what their songs sound like. And even I do that too. And then, or like it was like the other day, have you guys heard YBN Corday? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I hadn't listened to his music at all because I assumed that he just would sound like YNW Melly or NBA Youngboy just because of like the literal name being 3 letters. And then I listened to his music. I was like, holy this is like early Kendrick, like super bars. So I just feel like it's super easy to categorize people nowadays without totally knowing. So I try to stay away from that in like my own personal judgments.
We stereotype. It's weird. It's not proper.
No, but like
it shouldn't be done in any aspect of life.
As long as people are checking you out, then they can make that decision for themselves, right?
Amen.
At the end of the day.
Are a lot of those guys from what we were talking about, are they still going, or are you like the only one that's still putting music out? Because like I haven't heard anything from Asher Roth. Chitty Bang's not around anymore. Sammy Adams, like I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely friends with some of those guys, and people are some people are rebranding and some people are maybe have transitioned a little bit more out of music. I think that I have done a couple of things differently that has I think I make good stuff, so that's probably hopefully why I've been able to, sustain a fan base how I have. But I definitely approach things a little bit differently in every way of my music. I mean, I think I manage myself and do everything independently, which is kind of crazy in a sense. Yeah. Which not a lot of people. I think that's informed a lot of my music decisions also.
Yeah, because you're a part of every little thing. There's not there when you're signed to a label or you work with a team, there's some things that may never hit your eyeballs.
Sure.
But everything, literally everything that comes down to your music, you're a part of.
I'm surprised sometimes when I talk with friends of mine who are signed. I get not worried for them, but I just want to make sure that they know that they need to be in control and be aware of their stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because they only get one career. As I always tell young artists, you only get one career. This label or this manager, if it doesn't work out with you for them, they'll find another situation. They'll be okay. They've got an idea of their infrastructure, but you need to protect yourself too. So I get scared when I feel artists are unaware of their.
Do you ever feel like there's pressure not having a team?
I feel a lot of pressure, but that's a compromise that I've been willing to take. But I think I'll give this, I never do any PR or press. This is this is such an thank you guys for having me, because this is such an awesome thing to get to do before an album. And I think normally I'm freaking out before an album because I'm is Rolling Stone gonna post about it? And I don't even know if that matters anymore. But you know what I mean? You get in your head about things that you see other people getting or you think you should get. You're how do I get on the Genius video? You're all this sort of stuff.
It's a constant comparing game, because when you have the internet at your fingertips, you see what everybody else is doing. But how do you measure success today?
I think...
Is it through the Genius thing?
No, I think it is what it always has been, which is are people listening to your stuff? Are people coming to your shows and supporting you in the ways that people support people in 2019? So I feel very fortunate, because I know I'm not going to go get playlisted on Spotify. It's just unrealistic for some of those things to happen.
But why?
But I mean, because that's the game. It's just connected to. It's not impossible. There are tons. They've obviously championed independent artists, and I'm super thankful for Spotify in general. But we all know kind of how it goes. It's easier for some than others, and
you need
that's
support
what it is.
And leverage and.
But that's all good, because at the end of the day, all those things can be fleeting. Yeah. And if you are only going to get plays because you're on today's top hits, and then if you're not on today's top hits, you have no plays, that's also sort of a scary boost to get. So I think at the end of the day, it's really about building every real fan who likes you one by one.
That is a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
I've talked to a lot of artists who get that today's top hit placement and then it goes away. And it's this whole emotional roller coaster that a human being is on that they've never been on before. Because you go from having all these plays to nothing, and how do you follow it up?
Yeah, being too successful too quickly is almost a dangerous thing. It's crazy.
Truth.
Have you met with any record labels over the years?
Yeah.
Did you sign to Atlantic?
I had a song with Ed Sheeran.
Yes.
And
All About It?
All About It. That was in 2014. So in order to get that song to be released,
you signed?
Well, I did a one-off for that song.
Got it.
Which was really cool, actually. We could talk about that experience. But
you learn a lot?
What's that?
Do you learn a lot?
I learned a ton, yeah. And that was the first time I got to do so many MTV stuff and all these other things that wouldn't have happened without that song and without their marketing team.
How does that record begin?
Well, I've been friends with Ed for ever. I was gonna say before he was popping, but that's such a lie because he's always been popping. But I saw him at Irving Plaza in New York. That was the venue.
Long time ago.
Yeah, that was the venue he was playing, and so I was able to go backstage and meet him. And I figured, okay, New York show, there's gonna be 100 people and all these things backstage. Maybe I'll say hi quickly, and it was just me. and he was so cool. We hung out, and then like we just hit it off and became like friends. So that record came from like years down the line after we started becoming friends, and I like never. Obviously, I would love to work with him, but like I never brought up the idea of that. That was sort of him one night saying, "Hey, we should make a song," and I was like, "Okay, yeah, I will."
Yeah, whatever you want. Tell me when now.
But I really thought that I could like that project that it was on. I'd finished that whole album was done, and I thought, "Oh, I can just like get this cleared, right? Is that something that was possible?" So it went towards like the process of trying to clear it, and that's when I found out like, "Oh no, we're not clearing this record for you." So I was like, "Oh no, the song is dead. Like it's never gonna come out. It's over." And then it somehow landed on Craig Hellman, who's the chairman of Atlantic's desk, and he was like, "I really like this." So then it became something that could live again, which was cool.
So do you learn from that experience that you never want to sign to a label again?
No, I don't think it's that. I just think because there were tons of good stuff. Like that was the first time I had a song on the radio, and like you learn so much doing like that process. Like it's really cool, but you do begin to understand that like things happen in timelines that are out of your control. So if you're a control freak, which maybe I am, it becomes harder to like have to listen and be like, you don't know what's right here. Take some advice. Yeah.
It's not you.
No,
You got to collaborate with everybody, and you got to be respectful.
Yeah, but like I think it's also a great learning experience as someone who basically has like run my own business or job since I was like right out of college. I didn't get an opportunity to ever really work for another person for a long time, like in a traditional way. So maybe I'm just like jaded in that sense.
Is it hard to negotiate for yourself?
Yes. That's the hardest part of not having management, or like the awkward situations of that sort of thing.
Money.
Of money. Because people don't like to talk about money. Artists.
Oh, yeah, and you have to figure
Don't.
out splits, too,
Yeah.
on your own.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. This might all be like super inside baseball for people, but
If you're in a
yeah.
studio with somebody and you work with somebody on a song, you eventually got to figure out who did what and how much weight did everybody pull.
yeah.
And that's how you figure out how to divide money.
Yeah.
Usually you have a team to do that.
Usually there
But
are
instead
people,
you got Hoodie Allen calling you up.
Yeah, usually there are people in place who are like, "Oh yeah, let's just let the managers handle it," which is
Yeah.
So instead, I'm like, "Yeah, we'll let the managers handle it," and then
They call you?
Then I call the manager, and then we talk about it, and it's fun. It's a good time.
I'm sure you keep a lot of friends.
Sometimes, yeah. No, it can. Business is complicated, and
Yes.
it's funny how you realize how insulated you are. Like if you don't have to do that stuff, you're like, "Oh wow, this is nice." But now I'm sort of used to doing that side of stuff. So I feel like I've learned a lot.
Whatever USA. Do you really snap your fingers and women appear?
It's true. It's actually a
Do it right now.
pan camera. No. No, that's just, come on. I can't have like a braggadocious rap line.
No, you're totally
Okay.
entitled to it.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thanks. Like, let me flex on the people a little bit. I don't have to do it all that often.
There's a lot of moments in that one record where you flex, right? I mean,
That's a title track, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Do
whatever
I know
you
my own?
say.
I wrote my own lyrics. Yeah.
Tell them the hoes they don't matter. Tell them hoes they don't matter.
I didn't say hose. Probably said hose. But I'm sure contextually it was like a nice hose.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally the best type of hose.
Last record, or like I think a year and a half ago, I tweeted something like, "I'm not going to say the B word." Yeah. I'm not going to say that in general in music, because I was like supporting not being a piece of
Good.
But I think I definitely do on this album at least once or twice.
Thanks for the heads up. I guess it
Yeah.
makes it a lot easier.
So sorry to my female fans, but they also like it, because girls actually kind of like it sometimes when you say
don't
that
know.
on records.
Do you think I know?
I don't know.
I feel like you're looking at
I was
me
looking
with
at you to
agreeing
save
eyes.
me, yeah, for reassurance.
Does your girlfriend like it?
Yeah, I think she probably does a little bit, but just because it's kind of like a little inappropriate, so it's like, oh,
It catches you.
yeah, they're like, oh, kind of like that.
Your girlfriend, you're dating that Victoria's Secret model, aren't you?
She did do Victoria's Secret. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Who are you?
Just a small Jewish man from Long Island, New York.
Yeah, how'd you do that?
What?
I don't know, man. I have no idea.
Get out of here.
Yeah, but she's awesome and also inspired a lot of the pain on the album. Just kidding. But no, she's great and yeah, I think what I've learned from dating someone who's like successful like in like real modeling is that they're all like super normal. Like her and her friends that are mostly models are all super normal and not boring. I don't want to say boring, but they're like super, like very chill individuals. But my outside perspective at like 19 would have been like, you can't talk to these girls. They're unapproachable, but they like are nerds.
Wow.
How did you guys meet?
The internet.
Oh, you slid in the DMs, didn't you?
Yeah.
How long have you been dating?
3.5 years.
Wow. It's a long time.
Yeah.
That's a nice
It's
journey.
a long time. Yeah. I find myself to always fall into like long-term relationships because I'm so awesome
Come around.
that people don't want to let me go. Yeah, go on.
That record has to be related to your relationship, yeah?
That one honestly was, well, that was a little bit more collaborative because I did it with Christian French. So we kind of were talking about things that were going on in both of our lives. So that was less specifically about my relationship and more about being in that situation in the past where you have a girl or have a whatever partner you have and just like they keep trying to work their way back in and you're like, hey, stop. Do better. Like that Michael Jordan. What's the Michael Jordan name? He's like, hey, stop it. So that's what that song is essentially.
So you're talking to all the people who creep their way back into your life after you've ended things.
Yeah, I mean, but I think even I'm probably guilty of that too. I think we all can be at some times when, you know, you kind of don't want something to end, but you know it's kind of your fault or you're acting less than. It's like something that would occur when you're less mature than we are now. We're super mature now.
You've grown from this.
Oh, definitely, for sure.
So 60 seconds, is that about how long you last in bed?
It's about twice as long as I last. Yeah. I wanted to write the song 30 seconds, but then Gianni and Kyle were on it and we added our times together. And it was like, if Gianni and Kyle are on it, but they're one person together and I'm on it, then it's 60 seconds. Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
You should be proud of that.
I mean,
I know why you're dating a Victoria's Secret model.
she doesn't have a lot of time. So like,
She's a busy lady.
we got to get things going, you know? We're going to sit around and love each
20
other.
minutes? We don't have time for that.
20 minutes.
Listen, I don't.
You can watch a whole episode of Queer Eye in 20 minutes.
That's a good show.
Yeah. I'd rather do that. Don't have sex.
I don't know what it's like.
Are you married yet? Out of here.
Are you planning on getting married?
I hope so. One day. Yeah.
Put it out there.
Manifest it.
Yeah.
I'd like to get married. If you want to marry me, let me know.
What were you about to ask?
Well, so you've been dating for a while, but it seems like Whatever USA, the title track, is about how you have girls at every college.
It's true.
Is that true?
Well,
you know
no.
their names?
I mean, like that part is obviously like me being braggadocious rap person. I would never like cheat on a girl. But that song was very inspired by sort of, and I think you can hear it like musically. There's this Kanye West Slum Village song. I'm literally blanking on the title now. Is it? I think it's Slum Village, Kanye West, and John Legend on the hook. Song Selfish. He's like, I'm calling, baby, I'm selfish. And like in that whole verse, he's like, to my thick chicks down in Texas. And they go through all these cities. And when I was thinking about Whatever USA, I thought, oh, wouldn't it be cool if I sort of take that approach, but make it kind of college campus-y? Because those are the cities that I think about also when I think about flying into an airport, driving 3.5 hours to get somewhere to play a show, and you're literally in the middle of nowhere. Like, you are in Whatever USA. But then I had to make it about sex because, you know.
Sex sells.
Sex sells. Rap life. Yeah. Rapper life, basically.
Do you? I feel like you don't live a rapper life.
Oh, I think I do.
Yeah, convince me.
What do rappers do?
I don't know.
Love their fans.
Yes.
Put out music. Play shows.
Do you drink Hennessy?
No. Sometimes I drink Fireball.
That's cute.
Fireball is definitely more of a go-to. You know,
I think I've just had too many rough nights with Fireball.
really, that's how I feel about tequila.
Saying I can't do tequila either.
I went to Mexico when I was in college, like spring break experience, but I wasn't like, no, I was drinking at the time. I just think of tequila. I think of tequila poppers and like physically shaking because you haven't had food, but people keep taking you. You've been to Acapulco, I see.
No, but something similar to that.
Yeah, where you're just like, please make it. Why is there another day party that we have to go to? I don't want to. And then so I just can't drink tequila from that
You should
war
drink
story.
White Claw. You should be the rapper that makes that cool.
Dude, I just had White Claw for the first time in
It's
my entire
amazing.
life. I did a YouTube video with, I guess it isn't out yet, but with my buddy Dami D and JC Kalen. I don't know if you know either of those guys.
I feel like I know Tommy D.
Yeah, do you?
Yeah, from Instagram.
He has an Instagram, I believe, yes.
Okay, keep going.
And they made me drink White Claw for a video.
How'd you like it?
I don't like seltzer, which is a big problem to the White Claw experience. But I actually enjoy. I had mango flavor. Shout out mango. And
Whoa.
if White Claw, you want to give me money for any reason, I love your product, especially mango.
Then he loves seltzer.
And seltzer, sell me more. No, go on. I got nothing for it.
I don't know why. You shout out a lot of people in that. Zendaya gets a shout out. ASU gets a shout out.
That's true.
Bonnaroo gets a shout out, but you've never played Bonnaroo.
Manifesting.
That's what.
Yeah.
That was literally written.
Is
in my
that you,
notes. Yeah.
I literally,
Well-
that's what I was thinking, if that's the same way. I have a feeling, or I don't have a feeling, but there's a lot of colleges that get shouted out in this. And I thought, man, wouldn't it be great if I get to play shows at these colleges once they realize that I've shouted them out in this song?
So
Marketing.
I get.
Also, I do shout out Zendaya on the track, and I'd like to
Yeah.
think that was a pretty good call because Euphoria didn't exist yet, and now,
Oh, what? So you
I
saw
mean,
Disney
yeah.
Channel or
She's not-
Spider-Man?
I mean, she's obviously popping. I don't know why I was assuming that she only had 25 million followers at the time, peasant, but no. But I feel like she's super popping now, and everyone loves that show.
So I don't know why. You're just asking questions about why not you, right?
Oh, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little introspective. It's a little sad boy, but that's actually my girlfriend's favorite song on the record.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think it's musically her favorite. She just loves those type of beats like that are kind of R&B chipmunk sample type sounds. Like that's her favorite stuff. And then it's like it's just like a catchy tune.
Was it hard playing your album for her?
It never usually would be, but it kind of was. Yeah, a little bit.
Why?
Just because she can now listen to some of the songs and be like, this is about me. I hate this song. But like not really hate this song, but you know what I mean? Like
No, but
hate
she
it from like, oh, I hate this. Great. You know, that sort of moment.
she can't look at it from not being in the middle of it.
Well, she's on my last album cover, so she's always been like in the middle of it in some ways. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's like my job to make something that feels real to me. And then I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to potentially relate to it in a way that they haven't in the past because it's like, oh, wow, like this is how you feel. I feel this way too. Not in like a hashtag relatable way, but you know, just like in just like a real sense. Like, oh, it hits me in the feels.
Dude, Give Up on Us featuring Spencer Sutherland.
You know Spencer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great record.
He's amazing. He's so sick.
How does that song begin? And who wrote on it?
It was me, Spencer, and Keaton Schomburg who produced it.
Cool.
Who of
Emblem
3. Yeah. And him and Spencer work a lot together. So we just went to Keaton's house, and that idea just came together from scratch in like 2 hours, basically.
You're putting together all your own sessions. You're doing everything.
Yeah. But it's also mostly with like friends for the most part and people that I know in the past. Like I worked with Andrew Goldstein on Hell of a Time, and I worked with him before on like Surprise Party and a couple other records. So sometimes it's easy when it's like already your buddy. You can just text them and be like, hey, I'm coming to LA in 2 weeks. Can I work with you? And then
Do you go into sessions with ideas?
honestly, for this record, I really just let it happen. I find that to be a better writing process nowadays anyway. Obviously, you're going to have ideas because you live life and like those are the things that
Yeah.
inspire it in the moment. But I'm never a guy who's like, I wrote down this word, balloons. I'm trying to work it into a record. No disrespect to anyone who like does that as a jumping off point, but it's never been like helpful for me. I like to just like kind of freestyle melodies and words and ideas.
Do you ever regret leaving Google?
No,
Ever?
no. Because this is I worked at Google for like 6 or 7 months, or not 9 months, like basically a year. But this was always what I like wanted to do. I didn't think it was possible. I didn't think it was like an achievable thing that you're allowed to think about. But then when I got that little, like the door opened, it creaked open like just a little bit. We were like, oh, they're gonna let me in if I squeeze my way in. I was like, I gotta, take advantage of that and go full into music.
You were working crazy schedules back then, right? Like
Yeah.
I read online like it was like long days. Have you worked?
Yeah.
Have you worked that hard since? That long of a day since?
Ooh, absolutely, yes. But there is something about like the before you made it sort of hustle that exists, which is like, I think that's probably why a lot of people, if they lose themselves, it's because it's hard to channel that emotion. Because like the idea that you have when you have nothing and you're just doing it because you gotta do it because you feel like it's what you need to do to survive, like that's definitely where I was at. Because I'd work that job, I'd go home and write for 5 hours, or go to this. I found this studio in San Francisco on freaking Craigslist, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm going here and hoping not to get stabbed. Like make these songs, and then I don't know. It was definitely a time though.
I understand that very, very deeply.
Yeah, I mean, you did the same.
Yeah, like I remember going to school. I'd wake up at 6:15. I'd go to school, be there by 7, be there until 2:30. Then I'd go to the radio studio, be there at 3, and then I'd be in the radio studio till 11:30 midnight. And then I'd go and do it all over again. But it was like, I feel like I worked my hardest then.
Do you?
I don't know. I feel like I've worked hard since. It's like
do you
this,
look back at those times fondly though?
Yeah, I
Like-
loved. I hated school. Nobody
You
liked
hate
me in
now,
school.
like now is awful. Obviously.
Oh no, I love now. I live a great life. I get to
Yeah.
come here and have fun.
Of
Talk to
course.
people like you. Have a great life. But I don't know. There was just something different. It was just something. It was the fact that it was like totally up to you. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it was just this rush of getting through the day. I understand. Like, I feel you.
I think the biggest thing that changes is that the goalposts move. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you get, if you have some sort of breakthrough or success, the expectations for yourself and the expectations that you think others have for you can influence even your happiness and your approach towards things. So like you're like, oh, I gotta work harder to keep building, or if I don't get this as a benchmark, then I haven't made it. And you never have that feeling when you're in the double grind mode. You're not thinking about other people. You're just thinking about, oh, this is how I want to spend my time. So it's funny how like success can breed almost like this pressure that you didn't even know that you were ever going to feel in the first place.
I get that.
Yeah.
And you look back on your journey so far. You have this new album coming out, ups and downs, and a ton of Americoustic. I mean, this was a cool project.
Yeah.
Nobody really did that, you know?
Did an acoustic project?
Yeah,
People
but I
did
mean,
it afterwards.
People did acoustic projects, but I don't remember a rapper doing an acoustic project.
No.
You know? Like,
Yeah. That honestly wasn't even my idea originally. So I'll shout out my tour manager at the time, Kern Blevins, who came from the Warped Tour world and was like,
yeah.
you should do this. I think this is like an interesting idea. Go and work. So I made that with a guy from the band Our Last Night, if you're familiar with them at all.
My sister probably is.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, it was just like a project that we made in 4 days, like trying to recreate what these songs were. People still ask me to do like more acoustic renditions, I would say.
Yeah, but you have a whole thing. You won't... You'll do somebody's song, or then you have to race them. You like to race people?
Oh, this thing on Twitter?
Yeah, you physically race people?
I've never done this before. This is just me around in life.
Okay.
So I just said, people started to ask me things like, oh, can you play this song on tour? Like, and they're picking a super obscure song, which I love and I'd love to play, but it's not fun to play a super obscure song if nobody knows it.
Exactly.
So I said, okay, let's make it fair. Like, race me.
Okay.
100-meter dash. You beat me.
You'll play it.
I'll play the song.
So when are they racing you?
I don't know yet.
Are you confident in your ability to run fast?
I am. I think I'm the fastest man in the world.
That's why I read that too. I think Dan would love to race you.
Are you fast? Did you run track in high school?
I didn't, but I'll race you.
What I mean, I only brought jeans, so I would
man.
totally do it. Otherwise,
I'm ready to
but
go.
Yeah, you were ready to go.
Yeah.
What did you run? What were your?
I didn't run track.
You didn't run track in
No.
high school. Well, all right.
You did?
I just feel like
I did.
I can run still.
Yeah.
We got these old 30-year-old legs here, but we can run.
Yeah. I mean, it's also like a personal challenge. Like if I'm forced to race every day, like I definitely don't want to be losing to people. I'm very competitive in that way. So it's definitely motivation to stay on the grind. Plus, like Jake Miller is coming with me on tour. He's got a 6-pack, so I got to stay racing and like doing, you know.
He's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's like that's not fair. So I think I'm gonna race fans every day. You know.
He's like a specimen that they made in a lab.
Yeah.
It's like hard to wrap my mind around a human being actually existing
Who does that?
like that.
I feel you.
It's weird.
It's a lot of that's the biggest pressure I feel right now.
Is being next to him.
Yeah. No, not really. I'm just teasing. But like
I wouldn't show up.
It has been motivation to be like I'm gonna get in the best shape ever,
Yeah, but-
so I don't look like a piece of next to him.
Doesn't it give you confidence that you still have this beautiful girlfriend, even though you don't look like Jake Miller?
I don't. What are you trying to say?
I think you do.
Thanks, man.
Oh, I'm saying you.
New favorite co-host over here.
I'm saying you definitely don't look like Jake Miller.
All right, fine, dude. Whatever. Yeah, no. Of
You got
course.
other stuff going on.
I
You
think
got
one's
wits.
confidence doesn't come from just one thing. Yeah, but yeah, totally. I mean, being in a relationship and feeling loved in general, I think that's a good confidence booster.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know that somebody else out there loves you,
Yeah, and you're like, I don't know why.
but they do.
No pun intended to my own track lyric, but but yeah,
That's good.
yeah, I wasn't even trying. That just happened.
You're such a marketer.
Mm.
Yeah, when you write, you do have a lot of metaphors and puns and wordplay.
Yeah.
This is not a question. I just hope you respond. Is that something you go for? I guess that was a question.
I think it naturally occurs. Like I find myself sometimes referencing really obscure things in pop culture.
The Linkin Park line, that's a good one.
Yeah. And thank you. I think I write that way just because I love so much of that sort of stuff, like pop culture things. It's not like an attempt to create a puzzle for fans to even figure out, although sometimes it's cool when they do. It's just like putting that stuff in is kind of like putting more of myself into the music, I think.
What song from this album should we listen to best understand you and get to know you?
Damn, I don't even know.
Well,
I'm not sure.
you wrote them.
No, I know, but it's
How
it's
about Hometown Kid?
yeah, Hometown Kids is a great. That's the last song that I made for the album.
It's a good record.
Thanks, man.
Are you talking about yourself?
Yeah,
Have you do you feel like you've made it?
I do, but I think that that song is sort of about how other people, especially people who you grew up with, perceive you, and how your brain can be completely dissonant from that, and you can feel a completely different way, even though when you come home, people are so ready to ask you about like, you're doing so great, this is so amazing, but you could be at a point where you're like, really? Because I'm anxious about this, and I feel terrible about myself. So I think that's something that you don't have to be an artist or a musician to feel that way. It could be your aunt being like, asking you about school even, it's just like we judge ourselves harsher than the other people around us.
How do you want people in your hometown to perceive you or to see you?
As the fucking man.
Is it?
No, in my specific hometown, it is really weird to get recognized. 'Cause I feel like I live a pretty uninterrupted life. Like I spend most of my time, like I live in New York City, and I spend like most of my time like outside, headphones and walking around and stuff. And like people will say hi and what up, but like not like not like in a way where like
You don't
not
have
Zac Efron. You know what I mean? So it's like
You don't have paparazzi stalking you.
no
every move?
paparazzi. Yeah, I feel like I get to live a pretty normal life, but at the same time I get to do what I love. But if I'm in like my hometown,
Yeah, like the people you grew up with. The
yeah,
people who are asking you about the things that actually make you anxious.
I probably get treated a little bit differently in those situations, but I think that's normal because you have the most like interesting job of your friends
Yeah.
or of the people you know. So it's just you people ask you more questions, and sometimes I'll almost feel like, oh, I don't want to talk about myself anymore. Like, let me ask you about yourself instead.
Mm-hmm.
You've said you feel like you've made it. What's left for somebody who feels like they've made it?
Longevity.
So that's the motivating thing now?
I think for me, the thing that I have always thought about with music is that it's such an amazing thing to be able to like do it and like do this, and like my whole focus can be, I'm gonna write a song and I'm gonna go on tour and I'm gonna have an interview and do all these cool things. I never imagined it ever in my life as like what was gonna happen. Like, even saying it now feels weird, like 7 years later or whatever we want to call it. But the coolest thing for me would be able to do it on my own terms until I say, let me take a break, start a family, or do whatever that next challenge is. So I feel like that's a huge goal, to be able to have it all be on your own terms and you decide your career, because I think sometimes in creative fields, other people sort of decide it for you.
Totally.
Often.
That's a pretty cool goal.
Yeah. And I looked at a lot of other bands that I feel like have done things for like 20 years now, and they still will go on tour every summer, and you're like, man, these dudes are like 45, rocking out super hard, and have like these passionate fans, and like make a good living and have the best time. And like, that's something that I think you don't have to be a superstar necessarily, or whatever that metric is, to be super fulfilled.
Ton of ups and downs. Journey's been going on for quite some time. Have you ever taken a moment to look back? And when you look back, do you regret anything?
I don't think I really have any regrets, and I'm not even that person who is like, I don't live life without regrets, because like
No
I'm sure there'd be
regrets.
things to like regret if I like up super hard. But no, I've tried to take all these things really with a mindset of like being grateful, and like that's how most of my like motivations are. Like, the reason why I try to like interact with fans the way I do and stuff is just because I never want to get to the place where I feel like this thing that was once important to me to do is no longer important because I'm above it, or it's not worth my time and that.
In the year 2019, do we feel like a diss track has any power or sway?
To do a diss track?
Yeah, would we do it again?
If there was someone like worthwhile to diss. No, I don't know. I don't know if I think it can give you a lot of attention for sure, but I don't know that I would find myself getting involved in anything like that.
You named the diss track after a baseball player.
Which diss track are we
Nolan
talking
Ryan.
about? Oh, okay, that one.
Why
Yeah.
a baseball player? What is that connection?
I don't remember. I don't remember what I don't know. I don't remember the motivation for that at the time. I really don't.
This is a pretty intense diss track.
I
listened to it.
You listened to it? It's pretty old, but
It is.
yeah. But I like to do. If I'm gonna do something, I like to try to do it well.
I do respect.
You know, don't want to half-ass it.
So no regrets
Yeah.
attached to this diss track, because dude, there's some big people in there. Riff Raff, I get it.
Well, none of those were even meant to like turn into like something that would be responded to be honest. But that's life. It. I don't know, man.
Wait, is it cool when they do respond to it?
No,
No.
doesn't really matter. I think I have a much more like whatever attitude now. I probably then was much more like, oh no, is this like, is this a thing? You know. But I don't know. I find what I did found my biggest takeaway from that actually isn't really even about like beef or anything like that. It's that I grew up like the type of rap and stuff that I liked and listened to, that was super normal. Like I remember just like Nas and Jay-Z and like all these like LL Cool J and what's his name? Cannabis. I just remember all these beefs being super like, oh yeah, you just beef in hip hop. And what I learned after engaging in some of that stuff was a lot of the fans that I had or in the periphery of like what I do don't have that background and knowledge of like, oh, this is just part of hip hop culture, like this stuff happens. So it was interpreted way differently than I imagined in that way. where they're like, why would you say this about someone? It's
I
like,
get that.
it's not that serious.
Yeah.
Like, it really wasn't meant to be that serious. Like, this is just hip hop. But at a certain point, you can't like teach someone that. You sound like you're like a preaching person, you know?
Are we creating hip hop today? Is Whatever USA a hip hop album?
That's a good question. It definitely is, and it's also a pop album. I think it's both. I think I've always done both to a certain extent. Like, not to say that I've like made my own sound or something. I'm not going to be so bold as to say that, but I think that like a lot of my records have a certain feel to them, and I do mix those genres in a certain way, and I've always tried to stay pretty true to that. So I don't think it's more hip hop or less hip hop than All American is,
But it is an extension, right?
but it's an extension of it for sure. Yeah.
60 Seconds, Come Around, I don't know why, Hell of a Time. Great records on this album.
Thanks for listening, man.
Totally deserves your ear. What do
Listen
you
to it.
Pretty short album, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why is that?
strategic?
Well, yeah. I mean, strategic makes it seem like it was planned out and super thoughtful, but I would say I think people's attention spans are a little bit less. Like in a sense, I was modeling it after All American, which is 8 tracks long, and I thought, you know what? If a lot of people put out albums nowadays that are like 22 songs, and there's things that could be like cut from it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could probably let go of some of those records and make it like a crazy, shorter, condensed project. So I came into this saying, let me make an album that actually might slightly disappoint like certain big fans in length, like the ones who just want everything you've ever done. But hopefully, because it's 9 songs, each of those songs is going to get a better chance at being heard. And there's a better chance that like someone who's maybe a casual fan will actually make it through the whole record because it's not an hour long.
What's the biggest difference between your records that you're putting out today compared to All American?
I mean, biggest difference is process and who. Well, like just I think I didn't even know what I was doing back then. I was just getting lucky essentially, and being like, because I before that I had just been making sampled beats and like rapping over them. Like that was the first time on All American that I ever did original production, where I was like, oh, let's not get sued.
Oh wow.
Hell yeah. So I was just figuring things out. So now I'm just like someone who's hopefully figured a little bit more out from that time. And you know, I'm a different person than I was at like 23, but also the same person emotionally stunted at 23, you know?
Fascinating.
Such is life.
Yeah, it is. I'm telling you, Whatever USA, whatever comma USA.
What can I talk in this interview? Dan's always the one who's got like the fiery questions,
Well,
so let's talk some shit.
We were talking about regrets. Do you regret naming yourself after Woody Allen? He's
Oh
done some
my
weird
God, yeah. I mean, no, in the sense that like, I don't think people even put that two together unless you're like over 35 nowadays. But like, yeah, I just don't think he's a good person. Let me put that on the record. Probably not like the smartest decision ever. But what am I gonna do? Change my name to. I actually had backup names just in case.
What were the
were
backup
they?
names?
Like before I settled on Hoodie Allen.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so bad.
What are
Give
they?
us a couple.
No, I shouldn't have even said that. They're like so bad. They're so stupid. I can't remember. I was trying to do that like thing where you take the name and you flip it. So I think the other one I was oh my God. I was trying to do one for like Sandy Koufax, another famous Jew. And it was like something like Randy Flow Tracks or something like
Oh,
that.
that's pretty good.
That's
with like
awful.
an X.
You think
so
that's
bad.
good?
Yeah, I like that.
It's
Randy
not,
Flow Tracks.
It's not good, and if you want it, I'll sell it to you. So
Yeah,
take it.
I don't know if I have that deep of a want for
yeah,
it.
yeah.
You have a lyric. It must be from like 8-9 years ago, talking about like me and my friends talk about rappers that we hate. Do you remember that line?
No.
It's a real old one. I remember hearing it a few days ago when I was listening to your stuff. You don't remember that?
What
I forget what album it's on, but you mentioned like something about talking about rappers that you hate.
Okay. I'm trying to think.
Yeah. What are some rappers that you hate?
What are some rappers that I hate currently? Wow, I don't know if I hate anybody, dude.
Liar.
No, sincerely. Like even someone who I might think like, or I might not get, or I might think like, oh, that person may have done bad things in their personal life. Like, I don't know. That like I don't think I
How many rappers are you aware of their personal lives?
just the ones that are like super public, like ones who've like went to jail for like assaulting people or women or anything like that. Yeah.
None that are close to you that you've seen from the inside?
Am I forgetting someone who's like person that is close to me?
I don't know, maybe.
I'm trying to think. Max. No, I'm just kidding. Not Max. Like
When I think person, I
let me
think
just throw like a good friend. Oh, Bryce Vine. Like that dude's terrible. Like no, yeah. I don't think. I try to keep myself surrounded with people who I feel like have similar mentality and values to me, especially with music, because it's hard, because I think a lot of musicians are can like change over time. I'm sure you've met people who are different at one point, and then like later you're like, that's the same person. That felt a little bit different.
Okay, I got another question.
Yes, let's go. Woody Allen. No, sorry.
How do you feel about people in the rap community calling you corny?
People are saying that? Are they?
Are you offended or happy?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just teasing. I don't know. Like, I'm just like who I am. Like, I think I'm pretty real, actually, in terms of things. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have anything like rehearsed or.
You're just yourself.
I'm really just like I'll put my foot in my mouth and say some like, because I'm just gonna say what it is. But also, I think, if someone doesn't feel that way, like musically, like, dude, I totally get it. Like, my hip hop definitely leans way more to the pop side. You could like my life experience is way different than that of Kendrick Lamar or J. Cole, two artists that I love. So yeah, there's gonna be tons of things where it's like, I'm not for you. But if you knew me as a person, you probably might even like me. But like, that's not what we're talking about. My music's not for you. That's cool. Next.
Didn't you tour with Kendrick?
No, but I've opened for him once.
That's what. So you did do a show with him.
I opened for him at Virginia Tech in either late 2012 or early 2013, and all I can tell you is we both had a terrible show. like I nearly got booed, but they did not him either, and it was the weirdest thing because it was like pre that like really going for him, and yeah, I think every rapper has this story. Like, I heard about this like with Drake also, where performed at like some college before So Far Gone or whatever, and people were like, this guy, and then the minute that like it hits and it's the and then everyone loves it. So what if fans know, man? They're stupid.
Just kidding.
Kind of.
Hoodie Allen.
Yeah.
Whatever you say.
Mm-hmm.
Give you your ear. It's a good record. Top to bottom.
Thanks,
Great
man.
songs.
Appreciate
you
it.
deeply.
Hey, thank you for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
I really hope you enjoyed that conversation. If you did, please subscribe and also check out our podcast. There's a link in the description, and also comment and like and do things. Other interviews are on the screen somewhere, so click them. Thanks for watching.